Welcome back to Onshape. Today we're going to work on our intermediate sketch, so let's get started. We'll come up here and go ahead and create a new document. I'll call this document intermediate sketch sample. And first thing we want to do is we want to reset our units. So I'll come up here, click on my document menu, choose my workspace units. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong thing there. Choose on my workspace units, select millimeters, and I'm going to go ahead and select grams. Hit the check mark. Choose your sketch icon. Choose the front plane to sketch in. And now hit the N key to go normal to that. So let's start out with this very first step. So our sketch is on the front plane. Oops, sorry. Our sketch is on the front plane here, and what I want to do is sketch out this approximate shape. This line over here on the right side is a construction line, so I'll start with my line tool, and I'll modify it to make it a construction line by choosing the construction. And I'm going to go somewhere right over the origin. Click, drop, and pull my line down. Click a second time. I can now come up and turn off my construction line, continue to sketch my line. So I'm going to come over horizontal and vertical and stop. Hit the escape key. Okay, I want to check my constraints. So I click on this vertical line, and if it doesn't show that it's vertical, which this one doesn't, I'm going to come up here and click on the vertical constraint. Or I could hit V. You'll see that pop up right there. So now I've got my sketch started. Go to the next instruction. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to do this arc, and this is going to be a 3-point arc. So come up here to our arc tool. I can also just hit the letter A. That's what that A means. And I'll go ahead and select my 3-point arc. Click once on the end of my line. Pull my arc up above it. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull this out a third time. And drop the radius. I hit the escape key to get out of my arc. Next thing we're going to do is mirror. So what you'll see is, if I expand out to a full screen, is you'll see the mirror tool right here. That pops up. If I'm at my half screen, or I'm splitting my screen, it'll appear underneath these sketch features here. So I'll just select mirror. The first thing it asks me to is what the line is that we're going to mirror about. That's my center construction line. And I want to mirror my arc, my vertical line, and my horizontal line. And I'll turn off those constraints so it's a little clearer. Looks good. Next up, we want to choose a tangent arc right here. I'm going to click on the end of my line, the end of my first arc, the end of my second arc. Hit my escape key to get out of that tool, and now I'm going to hit the N key to recenter my drawing. Now it doesn't look too proportional, does it? So let's go ahead and fix that. So I'm just going to grab my circle here, or my center point of that arc, and I'm going to drag it down until it touches the end of my construction line. That now makes it coincident. Got a couple more things I need to do. I need to be sure that this arc and the right-hand arc are both coincident to one another and tangent. So now if I show my constraints, you'll see I've got a right-hand tangent and a left-hand tangent. Pretty straightforward. I've already made the center of my arc so that it sticks with my construction line. So as I pull that construction line up and down, it moves. Okay, let's apply some dimensions. I like to put the biggest dimension in first, so I'm going to put in this 200 right over here. Choose my dimension tool. My dimension tool will stay active until I deactivate it. And I'm just going to select my line here. Click once to select it, click a second time to drop it, put my dimension in, and hit return. Hit the N key again to recenter my drawing. And now I'm going to go around and do my radius. So I'm going to do the left-hand radius, the thing that I mirrored, and I'm going to make that 125 per the drawing. You'll see my drawing blew up a little bit here, or my sketch. It's okay. I'm going to get out of my dimension tool, hit the escape. I'm just going to grab this end down here, and I'm going to pull it up a little bit. Now it looks normal again. Go back to my dimension tool, and I'm going to do 2 dimensions. First, my side dimension right there, 50. Next, my arc radius, 75. And you'll see it fully defined on me before I drew that bottom dimension down here, 125. So let's look at what's going on. Get out of my dimension tool and show my constraints. And what you're going to see down here is I've got an extra constraint that doesn't allow this to dimension. And what's going on here is you're going to see that I have this line is horizontal, vertical. And you see that constraint there of the vertical end of that line and the vertical end here. So on this line, see how that applies? And this applies. I want to get rid of this one. And all that it's saying is that this line lies vertically beneath that arc. And that's not necessarily true for this drawing. So I'm going to get rid of this one. Highlight it and delete it. Now I can apply this next dimension of 125. So I'm going to go from one side of the line to the other side of the line, drop it, and this will fully define my sketch. Now my sketch is fully defined. Okay, inside of this we're going to do an offset. The offset tool, again, I'll expand out to a full screen, and you'll see my offset tool sitting right here. If you're using less than a full screen, your offset tool is going to be dropped right down in here. So you've got your mirror, and the offset on that same toolbar. O is the letter for offset. So let's try using the O once. So I'll hit escape. And I'm going to hit the letter O. Now when I hit the letter O, anything that I click on, I'm going to do an offset. And I just want that one tool. I can pull my arrow down to make my offset larger. And I really want to set my offset size here. So I drop it, click the dimension, and I want to make that 40. So we've got that done. Next up, we're going to draw a horizontal line. Grab my line tool. And anywhere in here, I'm just going to grab it. And vertical line. Keep making those two backwards. Draw my vertical line, hit escape. You'll see that little icon. I'm going to turn off constraints. Now what I want to do is grab a tangent arc again. Tangent arc. Start on the end of my vertical line. Finish on the end of my arc. Hit the escape key to get out of that. And I'm going to show my constraints. So you'll see that this is not tangent with that. So I'm going to go ahead and grab both of these. Select tangent. There we go. So now we're tangent. Okay, now I want to do another mirror. So I want to grab my mirror tool. About the center line. My two side lines right there. Hit the escape key. Now one thing to notice here, and that is that these two lines didn't end up. So what I can do is grab and make it touch right there. So we want to do that. Grab and touch. Next thing we want to do is to put a 3-point arc, three-point arc down here at the bottom. Nope, sorry, that is actually a tangent arc down at the bottom. So click on my point, second point, and get out of my tangent arc. Now this should be tangent here as well as here. So if I hover over this first tangent, it'll show me what it's tangent to. Sorry. There I'm tangent on the left side and the right side. So we're tangent on both sides. Let's grab a center rectangle. We use these a lot over here on this toolbar. I can use a corner or a center. We're using a center rectangle. I'm going to hit my N key to recenter my sketch. Yeah, I'll just zoom out here and zoom back in. Remember that you zoom where your cursor is. And I'm going to drop my center point on the center line, pull my rectangle out, and drop it. Okay, let's apply some dimensions here. I'll go ahead and grab my dimension tool. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start out dimensioning my center rectangle. So I'll click and drop, and this one is 80. Next, we'll dimension the sides of this rectangle. Happens to be 20. And the distance from the bottom of the rectangle to the bottom of the device happens to be 25. Next up, let's dimension between my 2 points at 100, and my radius 40 on the left hand side. Last thing I got to do is dimension this radius on the bottom at 15. At that point, my sketch is fully defined. It's all black. So moving on, we're going to exit our sketch and we're going to evaluate it. So first I want to click on my center of my body here. The keyhole is light, as is the rectangle. It's white, and I get 24906.823. Come over and check it. 24906.823. Check it. Voila. Thanks for watching.